Your bones are getting thinner right now, not because you're getting older, because of what is in your glass every single morning. And for millions of adults over 60, the drink they chose specifically to protect their bones may be the very thing accelerating the loss. Before I say another word, ask yourself, in the last year, have you noticed that you seem to be getting shorter, even slightly? What about a dull ache across your upper back that was not there 5 years ago? Or maybe your doctor mentioned your bone density numbers and used words like, "Watch this carefully." If any of that sounds familiar, this video was made for you. Those are not separate, unrelated signs of aging. They are the same process. And the milk in your refrigerator may be making it worse every single day. By the end of this video, you will know exactly which 4 milks are actively working against your bone density after 60, the biological reason why, and the 4 that research shows can genuinely help rebuild what time has taken. Not vague suggestions, specific answers. Type your age in the comments right now. Just the number. I raid every single one. A 2017 study published in the British Medical Journal followed over 100,000 adults across multiple countries and found that bone density loss after 60 is not simply a calcium problem. It is an absorption problem, a hormone problem, and critically, a dietary environment problem, meaning what surrounds the calcium you consume determines whether that calcium reaches your bones at all. Pauline was 67 when her DEXA scan came back. Her doctor told her she had osteopenia, early bone thinning, and suggested a calcium supplement. Pauline had been drinking 2 glasses of a plant-based milk every single morning for 4 years. She chose it specifically because it was fortified, but 18 months later, her follow-up scan showed continued decline. The milk she had been drinking contained a compound that was actively blocking the magnesium her bones needed to use the calcium she was getting. Once she switched within 14 months, her bone density score improved by 6.2%. She is not an outlier, she is the norm. Subscribe now. I publish evidence-based health information every single day. And this channel exists because your doctor simply does not have the time to tell you what we cover here. The first is standard commercial oat milk. Most commercial oat milks are made using a process called enzymatic liquefaction. This process converts oat starches into simple sugars. A standard 250 milliliters serving of commercial oat milk contains between 7 and 16 grams of sugar, depending on the brand, most of it in fast-digesting form. A 2019 study from the University of California, San Francisco tracked 600 postmenopausal women and found that high glycemic load diets were directly associated with increased urinary calcium excretion. Every time blood sugar spikes sharply, your kidneys flush calcium out of your body through urine before it ever reaches your bones. You are drinking something marketed as bone-friendly, and it is pulling calcium out of you with every glass. Imagine trying to fill a bathtub with the drain open. That is what high glycemic milk does to your calcium balance. The tap is running, but so is the drain. Most commercial oat milks contain less than 1 gram of protein per serving. After 60, your bones need protein as much as they need calcium. The collagen matrix that holds bone together is made of protein. Think of calcium as the bricks and protein as the mortar. Oat milk gives you very few bricks and almost no mortar. The second milk to reconsider is sweetened almond milk. Unsweetened almond milk is a different story, and we will come back to that. But sweetened almond milk has 2 problems working against your bones simultaneously. The first is the same sugar-calcium flushing mechanism we just covered. The second is more specific. A 2020 review in the journal Nutrients found that many commercial almond milks contain added phosphate stabilizers listed on labels as sodium phosphate, disodium phosphate, or tricalcium phosphate in certain forms. When phosphate intake is chronically high relative to calcium intake, it disrupts the calcium-phosphate balance in your blood. Your body responds by pulling calcium from your bones to re-establish that balance. You're essentially triggering your own skeleton to donate its calcium to your bloodstream. And it happens every single day if this is your regular drink. Stay with me, because what I'm about to share about skim milk completely changes how most people think about low-fat dairy. Fat-free or skim milk works against bone density after 60. Vitamin D, which your body absolutely requires to absorb calcium from any source, is fat-soluble. It dissolves in fat and travels through your gut lining attached to fat molecules. Skim milk removes the fat. A 2013 study from Harvard Medical School found that children who drank whole milk had measurably higher vitamin D levels than children who drank skim, despite both milks being fortified with the same amount. In adults over 60, where the CDC estimates over 40% have insufficient vitamin D levels, removing the fat means you may be absorbing a fraction of the vitamin D you think you are getting. Without vitamin D, calcium absorption drops by up to 65%. Reginald was 72. He had been on skim milk for 11 years on his cardiologist's advice. His vitamin D blood levels sat at 18 nanomoles per liter, clinically deficient. When he switched to grass-fed whole milk and added a short daily walk for sun exposure, 14 months later, his vitamin D rose to 54 nanomoles per liter, and his bone loss had plateaued completely. His cholesterol, incidentally, did not change. The fourth milk to significantly reduce is rice milk. It is popular among people managing dairy and nut allergies simultaneously. The problem is straightforward. Rice milk is the lowest in calcium of any milk on this list, often containing only 20 to 30 milligrams of naturally occurring calcium per serving before fortification. A 2021 report from Maastricht University in the Netherlands found that the inorganic calcium carbonate used to fortify most rice milks has a significantly lower bioavailability than the calcium naturally found in dairy or in some plant milks, particularly when consumed without an accompanying dietary fat. In a population already struggling with absorption, a low bioavailability calcium source is not a meaningful substitute. It looks good on the nutrition label, but very little of it is reaching your bones. Hit like right now if this is making sense of something you have wondered about for a long time. And comment the word bones if any of this sounds familiar to your own situation. The first milk that actively supports bone density is grass-fed whole cow's milk. Not just any whole milk, specifically grass-fed. A 2015 study published in Food Chemistry found that milk from grass-fed cows contains up to 5 times more conjugated linoleic acid and significantly higher levels of vitamin K2 compared to grain-fed dairy. Vitamin K2 activates a protein called osteocalcin, the protein responsible for binding calcium directly into bone tissue. Without sufficient K2, calcium floats in your bloodstream and your soft tissues instead of anchoring into your bones. Grass-fed whole milk gives you the calcium, the fat to absorb the vitamin D, and the K2 to actually deposit that calcium where it belongs. 1 cup per day delivers approximately 300 milligrams of bioavailable calcium alongside a meaningful dose of K2. That combination is genuinely difficult to replicate from any other single source. Think of K2 as the postal worker who actually delivers the calcium to the right address. Without K2, your calcium is sitting at the post office going nowhere. The second milk that supports bone rebuilding is kefir. A 2016 randomized controlled trial from the Osteoporosis Research Center in Tehran followed 40 adults aged 60 to 80 over 6 months. Half consumed 600 milliliters of kefir daily. The other half consumed standard milk. The Kefir group showed a statistically significant improvement in bone mineral density at the hip, an increase of 3.1% compared to essentially no change in the milk group. The mechanism is twofold. First, the fermentation process in kefir pre-digests lactose and partially breaks down the casein protein, making the calcium dramatically more bioavailable, particularly in adults with age-related reductions in stomach acid production. Second, the live probiotic cultures in kefir, specifically lactobacillus strains, have been shown to reduce the inflammatory cytokines that directly stimulate osteoclast activity. Osteoclasts are the cells that break bone down. When inflammation drives them, bone loss accelerates. When kefir reduces that inflammation, bone breakdown slows. 300 milliliters of kefir in the morning, plain and unsweetened, is one of the single most targeted things a person over 60 can do for their skeletal health. The third milk that genuinely supports bone density is unsweetened. fortified soy milk. A comprehensive 2020 meta-analysis in the Journal of the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics reviewed 38 separate studies and found no clinically significant hormonal disruption in older adults from 1 to 2 servings of soy per day. What they did find was a consistent association between soy isoflavone consumption and reduced bone resorption markers in postmenopausal women. The isoflavonones in soy, specifically genistein and daidzein, weakly bind to estrogen receptors in bone tissue and appear to slow the bone loss that accelerates sharply when estrogen drops after menopause. A 2018 trial from Loma Linda University found that postmenopausal women consuming 2 cups of fortified soy milk daily for 2 years showed a 3.8% lower rate of bone mineral density decline at the spine compared to controls. The key word is unsweetened. The moment you add sweetened soy milk, you reintroduce the blood sugar and calcium flushing mechanism we covered in the first half. Plain, unsweetened, non-GMO soy milk, 1 to 2 cups daily, is the recommendation the evidence supports. Everything we have covered so far is genuinely powerful, but this last one is the reason I wanted to make this video. The fourth milk that supports bone rebuilding is whole goat's milk. Goat's milk contains higher levels of calcium per cup than cow's milk, approximately 327 milligrams versus 276 milligrams, but the superior calcium content is not even the most important factor. A 2011 study from the University of Granada in Spain found that goat's milk significantly enhanced the bioavailability of calcium, phosphorus, magnesium, and zinc simultaneously compared to cow's milk. All 4 of those minerals are required for bone matrix formation. Goat's milk fat globules are smaller and more evenly distributed, making them easier for the gut to emulsify and absorb. Additionally, goat's milk contains a higher proportion of medium-chain fatty acids, which are absorbed directly into the bloodstream without requiring bile acid processing, critically important for adults over 60 who often have reduced bile acid production. 1 cup of whole goat's milk per day, used in place of the milks in the first half of this list, delivers a genuine multi-mineral bone-building advantage that most people have never been told about. Here's your action plan. 4 steps, starting tonight. Step 1. This week, remove whichever of the 4 harmful milks is currently in your refrigerator. Sweetened oat milk, sweetened almond milk, skim milk, or rice milk. Do not finish the carton, replace it. Step 2. Add 300 milliliters of plain, unsweetened kefir to your morning routine starting tomorrow. Look for a brand with at least 4 live probiotic strains on the label. Drink it with breakfast, always with food, so the fat in your meal supports absorption. Step 3. If you tolerate dairy, switch to grass-fed whole milk for any additional dairy consumption, 1 to 2 cups per day. Step 4. If you are dairy-free, replace your current plant milk with plain, unsweetened, fortified soy milk or explore whole goat's milk if you can source it locally. Stacking tip. A 2017 study in Calcified Tissue International found that combining kefir with a vitamin K2 supplement of 90 micrograms daily produced significantly greater improvement in bone mineral density than either intervention alone. That combination produced a 5.4% improvement in bone density over 12 months in adults aged 65 to 80. Ask your doctor whether K2 supplementation makes sense for you.